Hey guys, today is April 17th, and there is a balance patch today, and this balance patch also included one change that I really like. To be honest, I thought it was a change that was already in the game, so now we at least have clarification whether or not it is in the game. But let's get right into it. It's a rather large one when you look at the size of the heroes change, but I will say the majority of these are mana changes. Let's first talk about this one update really quick. So, removed all party size restrictions during the matchmaking process. The party size of enemies will no longer be shown during the match loading screen, and there is now an MMR adjustment for match groups. So, say for instance, you're grouping with a bunch of friends, you're all gold, and you've got 5 people in your team. And then they place you against 5 people who are not in a team. Likely they're all going to be higher in gold or even in the platinum area on average. They're making it to where groups that are coordinated and are all in voice chat and are used to playing with each other will now be placed against singles that are just higher rank in general. So while you may be more coordinated, you're going to have to go against people who are a little bit higher rank. There's good and bad about that. For a group of 5 that's coordinated, you're going to be getting faster queue times as it's not trying to put you against another team of 5. Another thing is you get to play against people who are a little bit more skilled, so you guys get to work together and push through those things. And as of those that are wanting to play alone, you're going to at least feel a little bit better that if you go against a group of 5, you know that your team is a little bit higher rank. So if you're going to be solo queuing, there's a higher chance of you going with better skilled players on your team when you are going against these groups that are a little bit more coordinated. I really love this change. This is how all of these games should be handled to begin with, and this is something that I thought was already in the game, but it's nice to have a developer confirmation, and that they're going to be trying to do this more so than they did in the past. So, huge number of changes. I'm going to go through these rather quickly, but I will put the link in the description below if there's any of them that you want to talk about. And there's a few that I'm going to talk about a lot in depth, and there's a few that I want to test and maybe do videos about later. So let's go through this, and I'm going to tell you that the main thing that they are looking for is to adjust the mana on how mana is handled. Mana shouldn't be this thing that you just have a blue bar under your hero and it's meaningless. Like, for example, on Hanzo, he kind of just never has mana problems, and he can cast all of his abilities as many times as they're up, and he'll never have mana problems. However, with certain other people, like Uther, you have a ton of mana problems, and while it's nice to have that a limiting factor for that hero, it can also kind of make him feel bad compared to a lot of the other healers if you're in situations where you don't have another healing hero. Anyways, let's get right into it. Anub was dominating. I thought he was the strongest tank in the game. He's getting a basic attack damage reduced. He's getting the damage of Impale reduced. Burrow is being reduced. Legion of Beetles, the spell armor amount is being reduced. And Cocoon's cooldown is being increased. This is the one change that I said they should do to nerf him. I didn't want his playstyle to feel like it was getting just hindered, but at the same time, this is absolutely insane. Cocoon, being able to remove one person from their team at the start of every team fight is insane, and then having such a low cooldown that you could use it outside of team fights to catch people out of position and then set up a kill is also insane. So honestly, I was telling people the easiest way to nerf Anub without making him overpowered or underpowered is just increase the cooldown of Cocoon. And they're increasing it by 10 seconds and also just doing a little bit in here. He is the highest win rate tank right now, and I think these are pretty good changes. Arthas, mana costs, pretty much. Just lowering his mana costs, making it to where this talent, while it's still good, it's not as good, and they're just giving a baseline mana cost reduction. Diablo, mana cost increase. They don't want him to cast W's often. Same thing, Diablo, you have a blue health bar, or blue bar underneath your health bar, does nothing. Garrosh, you have a blue bar underneath your health, does nothing. They're increasing his mana cost. Stitches, blue bar under his health, does nothing, increases his mana cost. They want you to feel like you have to be able to manage your mana correctly. For good players, this isn't going to affect you very much, but for bad players, this will be very punishing. This is going to give a lot of players who are great at managing their mana, and it's going to show how they can really push further ahead. However, for a lot of the other players, this will be punishing and will be an area that you'll want to improve on. Dahaka is seeing a lot of changes, and I will pull up Dahaka's talents really quick so we can go over these really quickly. So the Enduring Swarm is gaining an additional functionality. So Enduring Swarm, if you've never seen it, it makes it to where you gain spell armor while you have your W going. Now it's going to increase the duration of Dark Swarm by 0.5 seconds, making it to where you'll have spell armor for longer. It is not a good talent and not good enough to really... This still won't make it pickable, but it may make the W talents usable. I don't know. Let's look at the other ones. Lurker Strain, E, additional functionality. So what does this one do right now? Emerging in Burrow makes it to where you get stealth for 3 seconds and knocks back enemies, slowing them for 30%. Well, now it's also going to reduce the cooldown of Burrow by 4 seconds. This could be interesting because you can stealth into fights, pull people, and you'll have your Burrow up for later in these fights. Could make burrowing a little bit interesting, but this is competing with some pretty powerful talents like One Who Collects and Hero Stalker. We have Isolation, they're reducing the mana cost. Adaptation, they're reducing the cooldown and the mana cost, and trying to make it at least competitive to Isolation. Ferocious Stalkers, so this is his level 13 talent on W. It makes to where you do 50% more damage while your Brush Stalker's movement speed bonus is active. And now it's going to make it to where it slows the enemy heroes by 15% and while the Brush Stalker's movement speed is active. So you pretty much can Brush Stalker out of a bush and start immediately slowing people and doing bonus damage. And it will also show you the crit kickers on the damage that is increased. This is, again, a talent that isn't really picked up, but is interesting. In combination with Dark Swarm, it could be interesting to have the extra things, but honestly, the only changes I'm expecting for all of the Dahaka builds is maybe Lurker Strain for those that are bold and trying to stealth into a fight. But overall, the changes won't be very drastic on Dahaka. Just will be nice to have lower mana costs. Imperious, lower mana cost on your W, increased mana cost on your E. Now, what they're doing with Imperious is interesting. He kind of went into a single build and only one build, and they're making it to where his W talents are a lot stronger, and he will have a better E talent for different fights. It just gives him a little bit more variety. So now you don't need to complete a quest, and the damage bonus maximum is 125 instead of 150, but 125 bonus on a level 1 talent is pretty good. Bulwark Flame, now you can get more stacks and more armor. This is his block thing. They've just buffed it significantly. Unshakable Faith was when you used your E to break out of a CC, you would heal yourself. And when you broke out of that CC, you would only heal when you broke out. Now you break out of a CC, but you can heal yourself whether or not you broke out of a CC. This allows you to fight against people like Phoenix where they can kind of poke you down. Now you can just pop your E to gain life. But remember that your E is also going to cost more mana. So while you can gain life very quickly from just popping your E, it will also cost you. Flash of Anger, his WQ combo is being increased in damage. And then Holy Fervor's cooldown is being increased. This is pretty much the harshest nerf that he's going to get. It makes it to where he can't double soak, and at the same time, it's a pretty harsh nerf to his E build in team fights, as that allowed you to do AoE damage and just a significant amount of more damage. So that's pretty interesting. Malthael is getting a unique change, and I'll have to try it out. It's his Tormented Soul's ultimate ability. Now, when it is cast and when it expires, it resets the cooldown of Wraith Strike. Wraith Strike is your W, or your ability to jump onto a target that has your Soul Curse trait thing on it. So this allows you to jump around a lot in a team fight, because if you walk into a team fight and then hit someone, press W and move around them, then pop your ult and press W again, and then when your ult ends, you can press W again. You can jump around 4 or 5 times in a team fight very quickly and be actually pretty scary to deal with. It reminds me a little bit of like the Flicker Strike builds in Path of Exile, if you've ever played that game. On to Rexxar. They are just adjusting it to where if you're going to go with wave clear, you have to choose if Misha's doing the wave clear or if Rexxar is doing the wave clear. Varian. Mana cost is being reduced. They're making Lion's Maw stack up higher and faster than it did before. It stacks up, I guess it technically stacks less times, but it stacks to a higher amount, 125 versus 120. High King's Quest is being nerfed a little bit, so Twin Blades is going to be dropped down just a tiny bit, as well as the Lion's Maw will be doing a lot more burst if you go into a Colossal Smash build. Lower mana costs for Zool. Yrel is getting a bonus where If the Vindication hits an enemy hero, you increase the healing by 40%. If it hits 2 heroes, you increase the healing by 80%. I think this is a small change that will bring Yrel back into the meta, and I'm really interested in playing this. Dauntless, it's just a buff to a talent that isn't usually picked, and Sacred Armor, just a buff to a talent that isn't usually picked. Ana has been dominating the healing since her rework, and she's getting some interesting changes. Some W nerfs into her cooldown reduction. Her E, which she has a level 4 talent that makes it to where you apply 3 doses when you hit someone with an E. Now it's going to make it to where when you have your aim down sights activated, your sleep dart will pierce all enemy heroes. So you can pierce through 5 people and apply doses onto 5 people. Level 7 Night Terrors, the damage bonus is being increased from 8 to 10% max health. So that could actually be kind of huge if you hit 5 people, you picked up both of these talents, and you hit 5 people. Boom, there goes 10% of everyone on the enemy's team, and they have doses on them now. And you can still, you can make the doses lower their spell power, but you can't do it with the percent health as well. So the doses won't do anything special, but they still will be pretty devastating. Deckard Cain, he's getting a healing increase. It seems small, but it really adds up. This actually puts him over 1,000 health threshold when picking his level 13 talent. Roderick Cube's mana cost is being reduced, and cooldowns are being reduced. And level 7, they're making it to where his W talent that lowers his E cooldowns also going to lower the E mana cost as well. Ruby, lesser healing potions amount is being increased. Lucio, after his rework, has been interesting. He felt a little sluggish, but has a lot more utility than he had before. Let's talk about it. The Boombox Health has been increased. Pretty small change, but it's a pretty decent size health increase. It's going to be a lot harder to kill it. High 5, mana cost being reduced. Up the frequency, the ability that makes it to where whenever you auto attack things to lower the E cooldown, that is being reduced. And House Party's bonus healing is being reduced as well. Rhaegar is getting Lightning Bond back. Woo! Except for not really. He's getting Lightning Bond mixed with a level 16 talent. So you get your Lightning Bond back, but it's too late to do camps efficiently by yourself. I mean, yes, it will work for that, but level 16, the camps are going to be usually picked up quickly by your team. However, it is making it to where Rising Storm stacks a lot faster. It won't be doing all of what it did before, but it is still going to be stacking quickly. So now you can put a talented shield on a target and an untalented shield on yourself, and your damage will stack every time that it procs. This means that if you're with an ally and you're both attacking the same couple targets and you use it, you'll stack this up in about a second, and it can be a really powerful tool. This makes his talent really good, but does it make it to where the W build is going to overtake the E build with a CC? I would imagine it depends on your team comp. If you have a lot more tanky people on your team, then yes, I think this will overtake it. And if not, if you don't have a lot of CC on your team, the totem builds will still be ahead. Stukov's getting a decent change that's a little odd. So to talk about Stukov's talents really quick, we're going to pull up his current talents. And his current talents have it to where Poppin' Pustules, which is the one that if you detonate on a single target, its damage is increased by 100%, and then it slows in an area. Maybe it's not on a single target. It doesn't say it's on a single target, but I thought it had to be on a single target. Anyways, it does AoE damage if you hit people with a W. Oh no, it's this one that's a single target. So yeah, you just do AoE. So if you hit like 5 people, all of them do AoE to each other, and it does a decent chunk of damage. They're moving this to level 13, and they're buffing it to 150%. And while they're moving that to 13, they're taking reactive ballista spores and moving it down to level 1. This one makes it to where when taking damage below 50% health, instantly spreads weighted pustules to all nearby enemy heroes and resets the cooldown of your bio kill switch. So you can use your bio kill switch to slow someone, and then if you get below 50%, boom, now you can use it to slow them again. This talent is good if people are going to be diving you all the time. My only concern about this talent is that I never like taking talents that require the enemies to do something, because then you might have a dead talent for the entirety of a game. And if the enemy team kills everyone on your team and then goes and kills you, the bonuses are irrelevant. So those are the talents that are being moved around, as well as they are making it to where biotic armor is being buffed to 75. That is the physical armor, and you only gain that when you're popping your trait, but you do gain a flat armor of 15, or and I don't remember what it was. just by having it on, lowering the mana costs, and those are the changes for Stukov, lowering the mana cost for Uther, but not enough to make it to where mana isn't still a struggle for Uther, but enough to where it's just going to feel a little bit nicer. And if you do go the Q build, it will be lowering your mana costs significantly. Abathur is getting a nerf to his shield as well as a nerf to his shield increasing talent. So his shield is going to be pretty light now, but they aren't nerfing his W. They are buffing his trait considerably, and they are buffing his W talent on level 4. So overall, this is going to make it to where if you played the W build on Abathur after his rework, it's still going to be the build to go. But if you did go with the shield builds, it's getting a significant nerf. Then they are buffing some unused talents, which is kind of nice. Alaric getting some changes to Discord Strike, making it to where mana cost is being increased on his Q, and they're changing the Ruthless Momentum. It's just adjusted functionality. Now your Telekinesis cooldown, you reduce the mana cost of Telekinesis, and it recharges 100% faster while on 75% or higher health. It's pretty interesting because this is going to be a lower cooldown than your other abilities after this, which means that if you're playing with someone like a Malfurion who can follow up a pull with a root, this will be a really powerful tool. But if not, it's actually not going to be that great because it's going to be better to just go for more selfish talents. Blade of the High Lord, increasing the sadism bonus. Butcher, mana cost reduction. Zeratul, mana cost reduction. Asmodan, mana cost increase on Q, mana cost reduction on everything else, and a buff to the mana cost reduction on his Q. Chromie, getting a lot of changes for her rework. I've seen people have a ton of success with her and people that are struggling with her. I'll talk a little bit about the most important changes on this. They are buffing her Q initially, but reducing the echo. They're buffing her auto attack damage. They're buffing her W. They're buffing or reducing the cooldowns of her W. They are buffing her W talents. They're buffing her E talents, with the exception of the Anderhall anomaly, and they're nerfing that one. They are, they're buffing all of her E talents, including her anomaly. They're buffing her ultimate. The mana cost is being reduced, and the upgraded version of her ultimate is being buffed. They are nerfing the gnome speed ahead, allowing you to regen while just constantly using Q, but you still get the movement speed. So it's still nice to have it, but it will make it to where your mana cost is going to be a little bit rough. Buffing here and there. They are making adjustments to shifting sand. You can end up having with a higher maximum, but it's going to be harder to stack. So the more you're hitting, the better. The longer the team fights go, the better. Fast forward is being slightly changed. It's easier to get the cooldown reduction, but the cooldown reduction isn't as great. I think this is overall a buff. Quantum Overdrive is getting a change. It's getting a longer cooldown, but the more you are hitting with it, the lower the cooldown will be. Overall, it is mostly a nerf. Then level 18 talents, Blessing of the Bronze, is getting a huge nerf, making it to where it is now an activatable talent with a 90-second cooldown that lasts for 8 seconds. Basic ability recharge rates have been increased, movement speed has been increased, but overall, it's not as good as it used to be. Stuck in a Loop is getting a huge buff, going from 500% to 700%, allowing you to pop your ult and fire off 4 Ws and upwards of like 16 Qs over the course of that. And then unraveling your R1 is going to be lowering their spell armor faster now. Instead of from 2 per 0.25 seconds, it's now going to be 5 per 0.25 seconds. That means in the first second that they're in there, they're losing 20% of their spell armor. And remember that Pierce is still a thing. So I think Blessing of the Bronze is going to be pretty much dead outside of specific combos that you might want. For example, if you run that with a Zeratul after level 16, you can pop that as he jumps in and he just gets Q after Q after Q, melting their entire team. Could still be a very good ability, but outside of that, I feel like Pierce or one of the ultimate upgrades is just going to be better in every way. On to Greymane, mana cost reduction. Hanzo, mana cost increase. Mana cost increase. What did I talk about Hanzo? You pretty much have a blue bar under your health bar that doesn't do anything. So this is definitely a good change. Li Ming, they are reducing the mana cost of teleport if you pick up Aetherwalker to nothing. And their developer comment is, how about now? As they've been trying to get us to play Li Ming with Aetherwalker for a few patches now. They've been buffing it. And I actually like it on Battlefield of Eternity. Don't at me. Lunara, mana cost increase, same problem as before. Raynor, mana cost increase. Sergeant Hammer, mana cost increases. Sylvanas, possession cooldowns being increased. Now, this makes it to where you can no longer possess every single catapult that comes. If you were missing like a keep, you can't just possess every catapult anymore. But it does allow you to be a little bit more smart about your possession, and it also allows the other talents to be picked a little bit more. Mana cost reduction on Zul'jin, and some bug fixes. Thank you all for watching, and let me know what you think is going to be the most impactful thing about this. Do you like the mana changes? Do you like the changes that happened with the new rank system, so the groups of 5 have to go against more difficult teams? Let me know what you think and toss it all in the comments below. And don't forget that the patch notes will always be in the description. Feel free to check out any of my other videos.